Revenge trading, something we've all done and then immediately regretted it. This is something that everyone goes through in their trading career. I know for a fact that I definitely went through this, and it's a really important step when going on that journey of learning how to trade Forex. Now, this is something that, as I said, I've done, and I'm sure something that everyone else has done. And if you haven't done it yet, you probably will do soon. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Revenge trading is a massive topic, and I really wanted to make a video on this just to sort of help my viewers out as to how I overcame it, and the story of when I actually revenge traded quite badly. And it was early in sort of my Forex journey, and it was so bad for my trading psychology and my account, of course. So I'm going to be talking about this in today's video and just trying to help you guys out a bit more with how I deal with it. So before I sort of say why revenge trading is bad and some tips that I use to help stop me from doing it, I just wanted to sort of explain for some people that weren't quite sure as to what it really was, what revenge trading is. Revenge trading is, simply put, you buying or selling after taking a loss in the markets. So say you wanted to buy or sell GU and you lose or you get stopped out, it's essentially you then re-entering that position lots more times, maybe with more risk, to try and avenge the losses that you've taken on the first trade. And it's just because you have in your head that your analysis is correct, or you know where the market should be going, and so you're convinced that it is going to go in that direction, so you take the trade. It can also be just purely because even if you don't think it's going in that direction, you want to try and make a little bit of profit to win back that loss that you just took. So now that I've explained what revenge trading is, I think it's really important to sort of let everyone know why revenge trading is so bad, not only for your journey, but also for your Forex account. So the obvious one as to why revenge trading is something you should never do is because it is going to significantly damage the account's profits or the account's percent that it's up. Because obviously if you've entered a trade and say you're buying GU, right, and you get stopped out, right, it goes past your stop loss, you lose 1%, whatever it is you're risking your plan, but normally it's about 1 to 2% for most people. And so you've lost 1%. And you're annoyed at this, so you re-enter the market. For simple terms, we're just going to assume that you've entered again with another 1%, and you lose again. And then you enter again because you want to avenge the last 2 losses, and you lose again and again and again. And it can really start to add up in terms of how many losses you are taking percentage wise. Now that's a best case scenario for revenge trading, because I know a lot of people sometimes when they revenge trade will put on 2, sometimes even 5% of their account on this trade just to make enough to earn back whatever their first loss was. And so in their head they think if they risk more, they have to hold for less, especially if they're not quite sure where the market's going. And when that loses, it causes even more damage to the account. So that's the obvious reason as to why revenge trading is bad. But there are also other things that basically make it not something ideal for your account. Now the second thing is, if you were to revenge trade, right, so you've taken this loss on GU and then you re-enter for a buy, and then it actually works and you make back the money that you initially lost in the first trade, that is just as bad as taking a loss from revenge trading. Because although sure you've made the money back and you've won or whatever, what it means is in your head it's going to reinforce, okay, so if I take a loss and I re-enter anyway with a higher lot size, I can just make back my money and I won't lose. That is something that maybe in the short term it worked great, for this time you got lucky and you made back your money, but in the long term you are never going to come out of that profitable, because the markets will destroy your account. And I found that out the hard way, and I'm gonna be telling you in a minute about my story when I revenge traded, and it really didn't end well for me. And a third thing that I wanted to make a point of as to why revenge trading was bad was it completely messes up your risk to reward, or your sort of way of earning profit on the account. So what I'm trying to say is, say you're in a trade, right, taking the loss, you've revenge traded, you've lost again and lost again, and you're now down 5%. But in your plan, it says that you should be risking 1% per trade. So now you've lost 5%, which is 5 trades worth of losses. That then means to get back to break even, you would have to then win either a 1 to 5 or, a certain amount of R, basically 5R, to make the money back that you lost from revenge trading. But say your plan has a sort of 40% profitability. What happens if one of those trades was the winning trade out of that 40%? Now you've wasted a certain amount of that R made recouping the losses that you got from revenge trading. So do you see how it can sort of really mess up your risk to reward within your plan and then in your account overall? So yeah, revenge trading isn't great. It destroys your account. It will just lead you to taking on more risk than you're actually willing to take on. I know in the moment you can sort of be thinking like, oh, that could never be me, you know. I never risk 2% more like per trade or per day in my plan. But when you get in that headspace of, oh, I've lost this trade and I was convinced it was going to hit take profit, and then it doesn't, you enter and you go into such a weird mindset and you almost feel like you can't control it. And that's exactly what I had. So yeah, as I was saying, I'm going to tell you about my story. So it was my first month into Forex trading back, 2.5 years ago, something like that, back in January. And this is when I was trading gold on a £100 account, which is stupid anyway, because a £100 account trading gold is not actually a very good, a good amount to risk manage, because that's obviously £1 per trade, but you can't risk that on gold. It's going to be more than that. So already trading gold with a £100 account was a stupid idea. But anyway, so I was, buying gold and I was thinking I was going to be rich on this account or whatever, bought gold and it lost. So then I remember being so annoyed about it and I'd be like, oh, I should have won that trade or whatever. And without any analysis, without any plan or anything like that, I remember I was sat on my bed, I had MT4 up on my phone, not even TradingView, and I was just buying and buying and buying. And I stacked so much on gold buys, it's ridiculous. And long story short, I lost 12% that day on the account, which might not seem like loads. As I've said in previous videos, I'm quite sort of safe when it comes to risking. I've never flipped accounts and I've never risked loads per trade. So for me, 12% was absolutely massive, and it really, really destroyed my psychology when it comes to trading. And I remember the next couple of months after that, I was really struggling with sort of trading and the psychology of trading again, because I was like, I've lost 12%. Now I've got to recoup all of that when I could have just taken the 1% and been out the markets. And on top of that, I think I was up like, beginner's luck, I was up like 6-7% that month. So I was thinking I was, the GOAT of Forex. Which realistically, obviously I had no clue what I was talking about. And yeah, then losing that 12%, losing all the profit I'd made, it destroyed my psychology pretty badly. So yeah, that's obviously my story. I'm sure many of you out there have got your stories of how you revenge traded at some point. Everyone does it. It's something that, you just need to accept that will happen. But the most important thing is you make sure that it doesn't happen again, which is what I'm going to be talking to you about now. Just a few tips that I use to make sure that I've never revenge traded again or never been stupid with my risk management. So I'm going to share those tips with you guys now. So the first thing that I found really helped me was having a strict plan. So when I took that revenge trade loss, I didn't have a proper risk management plan. It was sort of just like, I'll just trade when I can't take the losses anymore. Oh my, I was really bad. So yeah, the first thing was having a strict plan. As I said back then, didn't have any sort of risk management. Nowadays, I know that the max percent I can lose in a day, or that I'm willing to lose in a day, is 2%, and that rarely happens. Normally it's 1% if I was to lose in a day, because once I lose, I don't really like to get back in unless there's a really clear sort of entry or a really clear way of seeing where the market is predicted to go. If it's not that clear, realistically, I'm just going to take the 1% and walk away. So a strict plan is really important because you can just stick to that. You can have it posted up somewhere on your screen or on your desk, and you're constantly looking at that, and you're going to drill it into your head that you should be risking 1 to 2% or whatever your strategy is max, and no more. And that is the most important first step to take when trying to reduce the amount you revenge trade. The second thing that I did was learning to sort of walk away from the markets. So now it's been a couple of years, I can take a loss and it doesn't really bother me, especially after the first year. It was horrendous. I lost pretty much every trade. So I got pretty used to losing. So now it's like if I lose, like my psychology just isn't bothered about it, because I'm just like, well, I know what it feels like to lose, and as long as I learn from it, that's the most important thing. So yeah, learn to walk away. After the revenge trading incident I had, I walked away and I never sort of did that ever again, really. And again, now if I take a loss, look away from the charts, click off it, go and do something else, take your mind off it, and you'll find that if you do that instantly after you lose, then you will be a lot less likely to revenge trade. Another thing that I used was remembering how I felt in the moment when I revenge traded. I remember like when I was looking at my phone seeing minus 12% or whatever it was, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like on a £100 account, sure, the monetary isn't that much, but if this was an 100 grand account, I would have just lost 12 grand worth of profit of my account. And that is a lot of money to lose just sat on my bed trying to trade like an idiot. So I tried to sort of remember how I felt, how disappointed I was that I'd let myself down. I'd lost the profits that I'd made and then extra. And I was sort of just like, yeah, I don't want to feel like this ever again. And I haven't since. So always just try and remember how you felt in that moment when you revenge traded, and use that guilt and use that sort of psychological torment that you had to your advantage, and basically just remember that you never want to feel like that again. So yeah, those were some of the tips that I had about revenge trading and sort of why it's bad, and also just a little story of when it really sort of destroyed my account. I hope you guys found this video useful. I'm sure a lot of you have struggled with this or struggle with this. I hope this video can sort of help you out a bit. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.